I started in September of this year, and one thing I didn't appreciate when I was a student and I started this job, becoming faculty is really the first step into real management in some senses. What I mean by that is I'm hired to basically run a research lab. I have students who work for me, undergraduate and graduate students, and it doesn't mean that I'm only looking at their research to see what they're doing. I also have to pay these people. I have to provide them room to do their science and have the resources to do that science. So this is all very, very important. And the way you do that sort of thing is you apply for grants. I apply for grants for my research from the NSF, from NASA, from other smaller government agencies. And these grants are very important, not just because, you know, like we need money to pay to do things that are exciting and interesting in science, but also like I don't get tenure if I don't get grants, guys. That's how a research university works. The definition of how we're being successful is that I can keep doing the science that I think is really cool and that we all should do, and train the next generation of scientists. So you can imagine this has been a very stressful time for me and for pre-tenure faculty across this university, and you know, post-tenure I think are also pretty stressed right now as well. But I'm not as stressed just for me, I'm stressed for you guys. You guys deserve so much more. I see so many intelligent, wonderful people in this room, and there's so many interesting problems that we can make our world a better place by studying, that I really, really think it's really important to see so many people here today supporting each other, supporting the work that we do. This is fantastic. That science funding is bigger than just you and me and our individual grants. I am an astronomer, so that means like a lot of people here who say use the LHC or LIGO or other instruments like that in our physics department, we don't do our research here. We use national facilities. Mine are, you know, the Very Large Array in New Mexico, for example, the best radio telescope in the world. Or we use space telescopes like Chandra X-ray Telescope. I've been on James Webb Space Telescope proposals before. These are all things that cost hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to build, well beyond an individual research university or an individual state in most cases. It has to be a national effort to make these things happen and have the best facilities in the world to study our universe. Is because we have these facilities, anybody can use them to study our universe. It means that a kid in Oregon who's dreaming of the stars has just as good a chance to touch them as a kid at a place like Harvard. I think that's amazing that we can all study the universe that we know and love and want to look at. If I were to go into why we really care about fundamental science and why it's important to fund that. So I'm not going to go into that too far, but I'm just going to say it has impacted the lives of every single person in this room that we have came from, generations of science support. We've all benefited from that. I would not be alive today if it was not for medical research science. I'm sure many other people in this room could say the same thing. I am so grateful that in past generations they fought and defended and knew and valued science and the research that we do. I know a lot of younger people here are really scared and wondering what's going to happen. I'm just going to say I finished my undergraduate degree at the beginning of the Great Recession. I went to the first March for Science at the end of my PhD during the first Trump administration. I'm just going to say that right now nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, but the important thing to remember is we all have agency in our daily lives and in our communities, much more than they want you to think that you have. Always worth fighting for, and don't back down from what you think is right. Be loud when you see something is wrong, and when it all seems too much, find a way to help a friend or someone in your local community. That is going to affect everyone's daily lives far more on most days than things like this. So yeah, love one another, be kind to yourself, and remember that you're not alone. Solidarity.